All right, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like there is another tragedy, another massive tragedy that has occurred in the Genshin Impact space. It looks like one of the most popular creators, right, who was responsible for a lot of great in-game footage, a lot of good actual gameplay, a lot of like these challenge runs, these challenge clears. One of those creators is going ahead and they are now quitting the game. It is none other than, ladies and gentlemen, Wallensteins. And if you're familiar with my channel, if you're familiar with just Wuthering Waves as a whole, this is actually a name that you might have seen quite often, because just taking one look at their page, you can see that pretty much every single video they have is Wuthering Waves or Punishing Grey Raven. And it's pretty clear, right, which game they prefer. They got a little bit of HSR, but not a lot of Genshin videos recently. And it's pretty clear that this quit for them has already happened. And now they're going ahead and they're providing some of the reasons why. And I saw some of the reasons in some other posts, and I've got to say that this is a crazy situation. So let's go ahead. Let's dive into it. Let's break it down a little bit. All right. First of all, I want to deeply apologize if I disappointed you guys. As for my decision now, I've decided to step away from the world of Genshin Impact content creation. The main reason is that I just can't enjoy the game like I used to anymore. I used to be excited and even made content that could attract a lot of attention, especially the most memorable one being the face of the 1 HP Bido video. And you can see over here, his icon is Bido. And if you look under his most popular videos ever, I do think this is the 1 HP. He's got a bunch of 1 HP clears, right? Don't do this with Bido. A lot of gameplay advice, a lot of in-depth stuff. You can kind of see that Genshin has been his most popular game. It's where he's seen the most overall success with all of the content on his channel. And so you might be wondering, what would it take for somebody who, for all intents and purposes, right, ran on Genshin Impact for the longest time? What is he going ahead and quitting for? It's got to be something serious. Let's dive into more of it. The face of the 1 HP Bido video. And as a result, I now have my own YouTube channel, Wallenstein's channel. But even though I'm stepping back from content creation, I'm not completely giving up on Genshin. I'll still play the game, and I want to express how sorry I am and how much I appreciate all of your support till this day. And so he's having the recognition over here, right, that Genshin was the game that allowed his channel to thrive, that allowed his channel to have all these viewers in the first place. And he's still going to be playing it on the side, but there's just a lot of stuff in the game currently that's preventing him from moving forward with more and more of that content. You can tell that there's another game or a series of games that he enjoys instead. And guess what? The day I decide to stop playing Genshin is the same day Bido celebrates her birthday. Bido, you'll always be as beautiful as the day I had to say goodbye. Happy birthday, Captain. Farewell, Bido. Thank you so much for everything. So as you can see, a lot of love and a lot of appreciation for the character, not a lot for the company. And you might be thinking, what exactly led to this? He hasn't been very descriptive about why he's actually quitting. He's kind of just said that he can't enjoy the game like he used to anymore. And guess what, guys? They've got more reasons. They've got the glue. They've got everything we need. And they posted it. Actually, I do believe this is on their Facebook. You can see the icons at the bottom over here. This is like the Facebook reacts and stuff. They posted on Facebook all of the details for why they're actually quitting. So let's break those down. So when it comes to content, there will definitely be people coming back to play again, talking about Genshin, especially maybe after the Sejnaya region update. So in the current state of the game, right, with Natlan, its release, absolute disaster of how the region is constructed both story-wise and from its character cast, it's pretty clear that maybe the type of content that he would want to make, the type of Genshin content he's used to, isn't really doing at the same level, isn't performing at the same level as it used to in the past. And there's a lot of personal distaste for the game across many viewers, and probably a lot of the original viewers that Wallenstein had. So moving forward, right, moving to a new game, moving to Wuthering Waves, PGR, all of those, it's probably a good business decision for him, especially given how the Genshin audience has shifted. And honestly, and this is where he gets into his gripes with the game, not just how it's doing on YouTube. And honestly, there was a personal problem with the stinginess of this one game. A little story that he's going to dive into is that at the time, he was invited to be a part of the creator program, the content creator program for Genshin Impact and Hoyoverse, but he refused. And why? The reason why is because there was an agreement that required the channel not to post other game content. And I don't like if that's how it works. Be honest, be honest, be honest, be honest, be honest. times 5. The pay is not that big. The Kuro devs, the black devs, dare to pay him $4,000 for every patch with the freedom they give, and you are free to make any content on the channel to post other games. No problem. But this is still under 4K. He's talking about the Genshin contract, and they dare to lock you and not be allowed to post other games. So I'm not sure what the 4K is. It might be in like Indonesian money, or it could be in US dollars. If it is for US dollars, all the more power to him. That's a pretty crazy bag to be posting WuWa videos. And the thing is, Kuro's paying him more. He's kind of revealed that they're paying him more, and they don't have any of the restrictions that they're placing on the other types of content on his channel. And Hoyo comes in with a counter offer, right? Or I guess the original offer that he thank God he refused, where they pay him less than that and then proceed to restrict the quality and the content that's going to be on his channel. And when you think about everything that he's posted recently, imagine what this dude would be doing if he had signed one of those Hoyo contracts, and then basically be on the hook for all of like the legal ramifications if he went ahead and he didn't follow everything that was listed out in that contract. With the main thing being, right, your inability to talk about other games that are probably not Hoyoverse. He probably would have been able to keep doing his ZZZ videos, probably would have been able to keep doing his Honkai Star Rail videos, but as you can see from the majority of his uploads, they're all Wuthering Waves. And this man, right, he would have been completely, absolutely, ridiculously screwed if he had signed that Hoyo contract. And this is the contract, guys, that people have been saying from the dawn of time is just completely made up, is fake. We saw something like it for ZZZ. We had Shinya and Gacha Smack reveal bits of either leaked contracts or their own, and it had the same sort of wording. It had the same sort of restrictions placed on it. You talk about ZZZ, we pay you, and you don't get to talk about other games, and you don't get to critique ZZZ either. It's a scary spot to be in, right? A content creator who's not able to actually cover any other games, who has to hyper focus and only create content about one, and at the end of the day, right, restrict how much they can actually do with their channel. And when you have a channel as big as Wallenstein's with 192k subscribers, a big audience, a lot of people to potentially reach out to and, you know, in a way advertise to, that sucks. That's terrible, right? And that desire by Hoyoverse to monopolize, right, their content creators, to not allow for any sort of healthy competition in the space, and, you know, just kind of like leave these creators in such a terrible spot if there ever is a bad update. Gosh, that's awful. Because guess what a lot of people do? It's safe to say, right, the Genshin 5.4 update is one of the worst updates they've ever had. Let's just take a look at what some of the biggest Genshin CCs have been saying about it. Oh, Tectone is one. Genshin 5.4 looks beyond terrible. Dora over here with the new Genshin Impact update looks ... okay. I'm calling it the worst update in Genshin history. This guy's just lying. And we did have a video by Bran that's taking me a while to see, but that video by Bran basically just said the update is mid. The update is mid. And when you have a game that you're making a lot of content on and the update is mid, sometimes it's in your best interest to go ahead and start covering other games, like what we're seeing Mr. Pokey do here, and diversify, right? Diversify the content on your channel, diversify your audience, and be able to make content that is enjoyable, that you like to make, because the game you're playing, right, that you make most of your content on, isn't in a great spot. Like how Honkai Star Rail isn't in a good spot for version 3.1. And when you have those contracts, right, that are locking you in and not allowing you to have that diversity in what games you cover, maybe when the patch isn't that good, boy, oh boy. Unless you're playing Wuthering Waves, where every single patch is good, that's a rough spot to be in. Especially knowing how Hoyo games like Genshin and HSR are in some of the worst downturns we've ever seen across the space, where those games are pushing out some of the worst updates the space has ever seen, and all of those people that are contracted, that have these agreements signed, that can't play other games or upload content about other games, boy oh boy, I wonder how they're doing right now. The golden handcuffs, as they might say. So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you have to take so much into consideration when you think about all of these creators that are being overly positive about certain updates that aren't really diving into what's actually good or what's actually bad, because it's in their best interest to lie and say that something is actually really, really, really good when it's not that good, because this is the only game that they're allowed to make content on. Otherwise, they're gonna be facing legal action if they go against their contract. You either lie and say that the game is good, or you tell the truth about the game. People see that and they're like, man, I probably don't want to watch content about this version. It's in your best financial interest not to say the truth and not really talk about how it really is. The last part of this reasoning over here is probably the most hilarious part about it. And the funny thing is, one of the staff responded by saying, Brother Wallensteins, don't you want to create another channel specifically for our game, Genshin Impact? And he just responds with, man, I thought creating a channel was easy. Huh, guys. Creating a YouTube channel, especially in this day and age, is not something that you just like snap your fingers and it's done and it's over with. Even being a big CC with Wallenstein's original audience and then starting out a second channel, that is rough. That is difficult. The effort to reward payout, even if you have a large existing base, is hard to work with. Unless you're maybe doing something like a clips channel and you stream on Twitch a lot. But I don't think Wallensteins does that. And so the thing is just these devs or these community managers, whoever is in charge of like these relationships, they're like so out of touch. It's absolutely insane. I think hearing something like this would just be like an insult. Like, why don't you just offer him a contract without these restrictions in the first place and not try to like push a creator's hand or make them do something that's like just so wildly inconvenient for them and is just an absurd amount of work that you don't seem to understand in the first place. It's like they don't have their ear to the ground. They're not even trying to listen, and they're just trying to use like the big brand name, the existing brand rep, to kind of just like bully people into doing like things that are good for them. And it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous at this point. And then Wallenstein caps it off with a bit of a banger over here. The game is just like that. Lacking in quality of life, players' complaints are never listened to, and it's also stingy. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. It might be offensive, but I'm pretty sure it's him like laughing or giggling on his way to the bank to cash in Kuro's check. It should be pretty clear by now that there is something deeply wrong with how the Genshin community managers, with how like their promotional team, with how like their CC sponsorship program, there is something deeply wrong with how it works, where they kind of like their expectation is that they'll be able to do whatever they want. People should be like on their hands and knees begging them for an opportunity, begging them for these terrible deals. And like, it is the result of operating in a monopoly. It is a result of the whole like COVID buff of being able to build up this massive player base, this massive like existing like stockpile of prestige, and then them just abusing the shit out of it. And thankfully, what we're going to see is that as more and more games start getting released, as more and more players are starting to diversify, going to games like maybe NTE, Ananta, Azure Promilia, when all of these competitors start coming out one after another, and the player base starts having more options on what to actually view when it comes to content, creators have more options on what type of games they want to cover, boy oh boy, we're likely going to start seeing more competitiveness from Genshin's community managers, or just Hoyo's community managers as a whole, when it comes to situations like this. Because my oh my, they are operating in some of the most archaic, unfriendly, like just absurd ways possible at this moment in time. And I am glad that Wallensteins decided to make all this public and just absolutely take a fat steaming dump on the devs. And he's better for it. Genshin-kun, are you watching? Genshin-kun, are you watching?